He didn't actually answer any question. That's a politician's job. But he did. Listen, the point that I'm trying to make, and I bring Matt and Emma in, and Nick, you as well. I get you can be in opposition. I get you don't know the basics until you get there. But I also firmly believe in the British people, and I think in the next few months they are going to have to put some meat on the bone, because I still believe there are many people in this country who don't trust the Labour Party. That is not a compliment to the Tories. I think that is historic.
But look at what happened with the non-dom status. Is there not a risk that whatever they announce, Tories will just sweep in and take those
Nicola,
policies?
you can spin that. You could spin that as a Labour politician today. The first thing I'd say as a Labour politician today, so to bereft of this government of anything, they're nicking what we've been talking about.
And also, it's not a game. I get what you're saying. They'll steal our policies if we come out with them. At this point, you know, we are talking about an election, maybe not in the next few months, but certainly within the next 6 to 8 months. Come on, come out with some more policies than that. At this point. Because I think a lot of what James Murray said there, you know, is really, really sensible. A lot of people like you were nodding along saying, actually, this sounds good, but just a bit more detail, because we've heard so much about, we will review this, we have a national strategy for building, for investing. What are you actually doing?
Yeah, you either look at that and you think sensible, responsible, technocratic, because politics is technocratic in many ways. You've got to get your hands dirty with the nitty-gritty, trustworthy, or you look at it and say that's not exactly a sort of ringing endorsement for change.
What did you think?
I'm a bit of both. Labour have been in opposition for 14 years. They've had a long time to think about this.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
things change. Of course they do.
Absolutely.
But
agree.
I want to have some takeaway messages. Who wants to change planning law? I mean, fine.
That's great, but ask the Labour MPs when you're going to build the houses in their constituencies, because they won't want that.
What I'm crying out for from Labour is for something that I could take to the pub tonight and say, this is what's going to change. I can understand it, you can understand it.
God, he sounds like a laugh down the pub, doesn't he?
That's 3 mentions of the pub. I think you need to go to Alcoholics Anonymous.
You have got to be responsible. You have got to get in charge of the nitty-gritty. There isn't much money to throw about, but at the same time, you're trying to win an election. You're trying to bring people with you and convince them that something actually is going to change.
Well, we're going to move on to the papers now. There's a story here in the Mirror about Kensington Palace, who have appealed for calm amid rumours about Kate's health. This is something that's just spreading like wildfire on social media, all kinds of conspiracies, etc. Is this just a case of people not having information that they feel obliged to, which is insane because it's a person's private health, but they're filling in the gaps?
They're filling in the gaps. I mean, the conspiracy theories are going from the sublime to the ridiculous. You know, this thing about she's actually in a coma, to she's had a really bad haircut and she's hiding away. This is ludicrous. This is a woman who's had surgery. She kept the details of that private. Yes, they're royals, but they're also private individuals.
Absolutely.
And I think that she just needs... I mean, it's clearly serious because it's a long recuperation period. We've been told Easter. I think for a while people just need to cool their boots and leave her in peace.
I am fervently a royalist. I think I know a bit about this, her and what she's got. But Matt, this is a direct response of a modern monarchy, isn't it? I mean, you had Charles talking. I'm not condoning anybody, those damn people online, but you had Charles talking about his cancer, this slimmed-down monarchy, this is appealing, being more open and more honest. This is the first time, and they have absolutely every damn right as a husband and wife to keep it to themselves. But they have been so forward. Royal family now have Instagram and Twitter and put photographs, and so I think this insatiable desire to know everything that's been fueled by their more openness is probably the reason that this... But some of it is absolutely unbelievable.
This is because there's an intersection here, isn't there, between the public figure and the private figure. And that's always been thus, right? And we are, as a society, invested not just in the monarchy as an institution, but to some extent in the individuals. But it is also a reflection of the sewer and the gutter that social media can be. Human beings have a sort of almost insatiable desire, many of us, to gossip, and Twitter and Instagram and all these sites encourages it. Leave the woman alone, let her get on with it. It's pathetic.
Is it really social media's fault, or were we doing this anyway 20 years ago?
We're doing it anyway,
just the fact that we're now publishing it online.
So these would have been private conversations down the pub. But now, private conversations become public, and that's more upsetting.
When we were kids 50 years ago, and I won't go into detail, a kid on where we lived was murdered, right? I'll tell you off air, it was absolutely horrific. It was in a local newspaper. that would be on social media everywhere. The world has changed. They have a right to privacy. Though this woman has had an operation. She's got 3 kids.
But this is my point, Jeremy. This is my point. So whereas previously we would have been I wouldn't personally, but we would have, as a society, been having these conversations.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been in full view
Absolutely.
of the people about whom the conversations are being had.
Absolutely. Well, you can mention that down the pub tonight. Emma, a German man in The Guardian. Why is the German man in The Guardian?
This madman, he's mad. Well, sorry, he's slightly unhinged. He's a 62-year-old. Sorry, I thought you were just saying generally why is a German man in The Guardian. So he's a 62-year-old from Magdeburg in Germany.
Yeah.
In the last 29 months, he's had over 217 COVID vaccinations. I worked it out. It's about...
Julia would love him, wouldn't she?
It's about 8 vaccinations a month. So he's hyper-vaccinated.
Twice a week?
He's shown no signs of having COVID, and he's shown no adverse side effects to all these jabs. So he's being investigated because it may be possible that he's actually having these jabs to give a sort of vaccine scam, to give people the certificates to say, I'm vaccinated, without them having to have the jab. So he's taking it for the team, as it were.
So it's his own personal experiment or side hustle?
They don't know, but it may be that he's doing it as he's selling these vaccine certificates and having jabs for other people, so they can say, yeah, I've got my COVID, I've got my COVID vaccine.
This brings back sort of dark memories of the pandemic for me, because I've wrestled on and off in my life with anxiety and OCD, and I was very anxious about
I knew
COVID.
why we got on well.
I was anxious about COVID, not because I was worried about getting sick myself.
I was so intensely relaxed.
I was really worried about giving it to other people, right?
Yeah.
And so how many PCR tests do you think I had before lateral flows were even invented?
100.
30.
Yeah.
And most people I knew
I
at the time
have done
had 1.
2 tests in my life, once when I was forced to.
I don't care what anybody says. I've had this argument with Julia and loads of people. That day, Boris Johnson said you've got to stay at home. I don't care who you are. I mean, we can argue about Partygate till we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
It was an unprecedented, scary time.
It was a
Whoever
scary
you are,
time.
wherever you live,
It was.
and I suspect, and I'm not sticking up for Boris Johnson, you could give me anybody. It was an absolute cluster, whatever, and I imagine it would have been. I mean, this is unprecedented. If the only thing I want from that damn inquiry, whether it's that German or not, is that never happens again, because we weren't damn well prepared at all.
We weren't
It's
prepared.
World Book Day. Oliver went as Iron Man. We've already done that. Just a cheap photograph. Emma Wolf, her son. Oh my God.
Ludo
This
is
a
waiting at home as Pikachu.
Look at him.
Do you know what's really worrying about that photograph? Is you see that child?
Yes.
She left that child by the front door at 5 to 4 when she left this morning. So now past
In his
8,
Pikachu
he's then
outfit.
a selfie. He stood on his own.
He's still on his own,
Abandoned
at
that
home, dressed as
child.
Pikachu. What's embarrassing is that I am the great niece of Virginia Woolf. I should be sending him in as Orlando or as, I don't know, Mr. Dalloway, and I'm sending him in
Who
in a...
is Virginia Woolf?
I never knew that.
And I
you
am
not?
sending in my child dressed in a yellow onesie with Pikachu ears, and I don't think Pikachu is even a book character. On World Book Day, I am embarrassed.
looks amazing.
You should write a book about Pikachu.
May I compete? I'm the great-great-great-nephew of Johann Strauss, the composer. So when Wilfred gets older, he's going to go in as a waltz.
Oh, lovely. That's
Who
not
are
a
you
book
related
either.
to?
It's not a book.
Well, my dad, but he's dead. Anyway, thank you very much indeed. Who am I related to? Donald Trump.
The great Jeremy Kyle, I
I'm
heard.
not related to anybody. I was
I
found at the
heard
bottom
you
of the
used to be
garden.
related to that guy, Jeremy Kyle.
No, he doesn't exist
He
anymore.
was great once too.
Thank you very much. You was.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
to Emma
gang.
and
Lovely
Matthew
to have you
for
on.
joining
Thank
us
you.
all morning. Now.